Hi there, it's Steve from Mogrify Studio, and in this video I'm going to do a quick tutorial for you on how to use Filezilla. Filezilla is a FTP program, and FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. Basically, it's one of the best ways to interact with the files that are in your web server. If you have a lot of files that you need to upload or download, or even really large files that need to be uploaded, such as audio or video files, FTP is just about one of the best ways to do it. A lot of times web interface have limits on the size of the files that you need to upload, and Filezilla normally doesn't have those sort of restrictions unless whoever is managing your web server tells it to. So 9 times out of 10 you have all the permissions that you need once you have an account. So if you don't have, an account on the web server, meaning a hosting service, not Filezilla. Filezilla is free. If you don't already have it, go ahead and go to Google, go ahead and download it, and or search for it. And once you do, you'll get, it should be the very top result here. Go into the download page. It's a smart website, so it detected what kind of computer I'm using, and it just gave me one download option. I'm on a Mac, but Filezilla is free for PC and a Mac, so if you're on a PC and you just follow the steps that I did, it should be telling you some Windows download options here. So go ahead and download and install that on your computer, and once you're ready to go ahead and launch it up, and you should see a screen like this. For the most part, it's going to be pretty blank, but a quick tour of the interface, what we have here. At the very top, we've got some shortcut icons. Once you become a little bit more familiar with Filezilla, these things will be make more sense to you. I've been using Filezilla for years, and tell you the truth, I hardly ever really use them. If anything, it would be this green button here, which I'll go over shortly. Down below that, we have a quick connect bar. This is also a feature that I hardly ever use because I like to store my site information. But if you have hosting and username and password information, this is just a really quick way that you can log on to a website. Right below that, you've got an area right here. It looks blank, but what this is a message queue. So this area right here will display messages that your server is giving to Filezilla to let you know what the status of things are. So if you're connected, if you get disconnected, setting read and write permissions and things like this. This is a bunch of information. Most of the time you don't need to have this information, but if you'd like to see and know that activity is happening, you can have it available. For me, I'm going to leave it open and then show you how to turn it off later. So like I said, this left side here is a way to view files that are on your computer. We can see that the files that are here is exactly what's on my on my computer. And this is the path to what is displaying here in this window. So I have a training folder that I like to use, and on my computer it looks just like this. So we can see that what's happening here is an exact duplicate of what's on my computer here in the same spot. So just so that you know, it's a really nice way to interact with your files. So you can even drag and drop here. What I did was I just moved this file, and even on my computer here. I'll do the same thing with this one. I'll go to Live Site and go back to Filezilla. When I refresh here, it disappears, and now both of those files are in Live Site. So I just went through that just to explain to you that you can use either your files, the folder system, Finder, or Windows, and interact with the files, or you can use this interface as well. I like using this interface because it's all in one spot and it's easy enough to understand. Okay, so I've got a Live Site folder here on my computer, and it's empty except for those 2 files that I just uploaded. I do recommend that you keep a local copy of your web server files on your computer as a backup, just a nice little precaution. Maybe you've got a backup service hooked up to your website. WordPress, there's some popular ones, but if not, it's always a good idea to keep a local copy. So now I'm going to go over and show you how to set up a site and how to connect to your web server. What I do is I go File into Site Manager. So once this comes up, if it's your first time using Filezilla, then this list right here, the site should be empty for you. But what you could do here is add a new site, and when you do that, you can say You name it something that is appropriate. Maybe it's your .com or client name or something. And then over here in the General tab, there are several tabs that we can fill out. We'll go over them just in a second. Unless your server specifically commands you to enter a port number, sometimes you can leave this empty, and the Filezilla program, when connecting to your server will respond with the correct port. So not always do you need to enter a port number here. Your host is whoever is hosting your website. So if it's GoDaddy or Just Host or Bluehost, there's tons of hosting services out there. Get in touch with them to make sure that you can get your hosting information and that you have FTP access. So there are two different types of protocols here. There's regular FTP and then there's SFTP. A lot of people are going to SFTP these days. The difference is this one is a little bit more secure. That's what SSH is for. It's for secure file handling. And logon type, I always choose normal here because that's mostly what most servers are looking for. So you would enter your username and your password here and any sort of comments here that you think would be necessary. I'm going to go ahead and fill this out with my server and connect, and we'll show what happens next. Okay, so I entered my server information and I hit the connect button, and what happened was in the site manager here, even though that went away, the purpose of doing it here in the site manager is so that it saves this credential, these credentials that you enter here. They're different for every site, so make sure that you can get a hold of them. But there it is. I just created it and it will stay there until I delete it. So that's all I did. And we have the site that we have here on the right. This is what we're looking at on the remote server. This is what's live on the internet right now. And the other box that we didn't really go over here is the queue box that's at the very bottom of the page. So you've got three tabs that interact here, and as we choose these, we can see the options here change. Queued files is active files that are in the queue and being transferred. Failed transfers, obviously, are files that don't work out very well, and successful transfers are files that do work out very well. So it gives you a nice little log. One thing to note about the queued files is unless you specifically set it to save a queue or you give it some other advanced actions, all of these other things here are session specific. And what that means is I'm doing my interaction, I'm transferring files, and as soon as I close out this folder or this program, maybe I'll come back tomorrow, these queues, these logs down here will be gone. So it's session specific, meaning only during the time that you're connected with the server during this session, these things will fill out. As soon as you close the program, then these logs will disappear. So again, I've got live site right here. If I go ahead and open it, I see those two files that I moved in the beginning of the video. And then I've got the rest of the files that are on the remote server. Now what I'd like to do is have a copy of my files on my computer in case anything happens, just in case, because backups are helpful. So that's all I need to do is click on these files. I'm going to select all of them, or you can do one at a time. So I'm selecting all of them, and then transferring them to computer is as easy as drag and drop. So I'm just clicking and holding and dragging. And as soon as I see the green plus arrow over here that my cursor looks like, it's showing me that things are looking pretty good. So once I do that, I'm just going to let go. We see the activity up here that's happening. It's giving me a step-by-step detail of everything that's happening. And down here I see that my queue is looking pretty good as well. So we'll see, if you pay attention, there are a lot of files in here. There's more than 2 and 5 and 6, right? And this number keeps growing. What's happening, it's kind of funny, is that this program is working so fast reading the files on the computer that it's transferring them before it can read the next folder to transfer. So that's what's happening. This number will grow and it'll disappear and the queue will go empty and then it'll fill out again. So just so that you know, leave it until it absolutely has no activity, and then you know that things are finished. So that's what's happening, is that it just reads these files, and sometimes the transfer happens more quickly than it can go through the file structure. So while that's happening, before I went over with you what this little top window here does. It's nice to see that activity. If you're the type of person that likes to know if something's happening, then you can just leave that open. Maybe you can just make it super small so that it's not so distracting. But if you don't like it at all, it's not useful for you, go ahead and go up to the View menu and just close this message log option here. And that disappears. And for me, I never use this quick connect button, this quick connect bar either, so I can make that go away as well. What I'm really doing here is just making sure that I can clean up my screen and there's only necessary things on it. The difference here between the very top sections and the bottom section is this is folder specific. So right now I'm just in the live site folder and this is what is inside the live site folder. The advantage of using this area here is that it's a quicker way for you to navigate to other sections or other folders. So currently on the remote side, because I'm in the root, that's what this backslash means. That's as far back as I can go on the server. I don't have permissions to go deeper than that. Right now, so this root folder is selected, so that's what I'm looking at is the root folder, what is on the very beginning folder, the first files that a web server is hosting. But if I go into the layouts folder up here, it will click inside of that. But you see that there are many other folders inside the layouts folder. And that's the advantage of using this top view here, is because maybe I need to really drill down into this thing and I need to specifically go to this folder. To me, it's just easier to click inside this tree and navigate rather than go back here, is it this folder? No, it's not that one, I don't know. So it's just a different way to navigate. These bottom folders, these bottom views right here are folder specific, but this is a nice way that you can access the other directories very quickly and easily. Now what I did earlier, actually before I go any further with that, at the very top of both of these windows you see a folder icon with an ellipsis. If you double click on that here, what that is just a back button. So if you were to go back here, it just goes back into the previous directory. So before, let's see, I went into, I'm 3 levels deep here. So I've got a layout folder, an outbound emails folder, and then an order status changed folder. Now I could go back, and then back, and then back. Or I can just go back up here and click there. So it's just one click here versus many here. Okay, so in order to transfer files, we talked about, that's all you really need to do is just highlight and drag and drop. These two folders, these two files right here, we can see since we're having sort of a manual view here are not on my web server. So I'm going to select both of those, and just as easy as I downloaded them, I'm going to upload them to the server just by dragging and dropping. Super small files, so they transfer pretty quickly, and now they're up there on the internet. Okay. The other way that you can interact with the files here is by right-clicking. There are a lot of options that you can do here. Most of the time when I right-click, it's because I need to either refresh, delete a file, or rename something. Never really go into file permissions and hardly ever go into any of these guys right here because I like dragging and dropping better. I know where they go. To me, I look at this download button and I'm going, okay, where is it going to download to? Likely it will go straight to this folder, but to me, like I said, the dragging and dropping is absolute assurance to me that I know exactly where that file is going. So there are some options that you can hear. It's very easy to go in and rename a file. So all I'm doing is doing a long click, going to the end, and I'm renaming the file. Maybe I can say upcoming events, and I'm hitting return on my keyboard, return or enter, or I can just simply click away, and what that does is it renames the file on the server. So I'm interacting with files on the server. Note that the files on my local machine stayed the same. So I changed about.html and I changed the events page, I renamed it. Just so that you know, what changes that you make in one spot doesn't mean that it's automatically happening in the other place. So that's the only thing to keep an eye on, is if you're going to rename files, make sure that it's happening in both places. Okay, so I'm just going to put these back, name that back to events.htm, and then about, I'll change that back to HTML as well. So now things are looking the same. And we should be pretty comfortable with how dragging and dropping and interacting with the files on the local and server files work. Now there are a couple little power tips that I encourage you to use here. We'll go into Site Manager. This time we're going to go into the Advanced tab, and I'm going to go over this screen for you. There's a default local directory option here. And this is a nice thing to fill in your computer, because when you start Filezilla, it's just going to open maybe in the last spot that you were in your computer. Filling out this default local directory option is a really nice way for you to automatically, or what Filezilla does is it automatically goes straight to this folder whenever you log on to this site. So I'm going to hit cancel here. This is the local site folder I need to be in. I'm just going to copy it and go back into my Site Manager, Advanced tab, and I'm going to paste this into the local directory. Now, every time I log on to this training site that I started, the left side will automatically go straight to this live site folder. That's exactly what I want. You can hit, if you choose to go into a default remote directory, just hit the / button there, just the same as what we're seeing here, because just remember that the / means root. If there's nothing else. By itself, it means root directory. And this synchronized browsing is one of my favorite features here of Filezilla. So I'm telling Filezilla to go to the live site option and then the default directory, which is the root. I'm just going to hit OK here. So I should be reconnected. And if I open up this layouts folder, you see that it also went into the layouts folder on the right here. So that's synchronized browsing. It should be very helpful to you. I'm double clicking into outbound emails. There are all the files in both sides. So it's a great way for you to just compare side by side if things are looking correct and if things are synced. It gives you some nice options here and lets you know when these files were created or modified, what type of file they are, and how big they are on both sides. So that's another way for you to be able to tell if files are synced or not. Okay, so once you have some files here, what I'm going to do is give you an example of an error, or not so much an error, but a dialog box that you'll run into. If I try to upload this file, we already see that there's a csf.html file here on the remote server. So if it's already there, what's going to happen if I try to re-upload a file with the exact same name in the exact same place? So I'm just going to drag and drop. It's transferring up the queue, and Filezilla says, wait a second, the target file already exists. And this dialog box here is giving you some information, and it's asking what to do. So it's saying source file is this one, it's this big, it was modified at this time, and the target file lives in the same spot, it's the same size a long time ago. So yes, I want the new file. Now over here, there are some actions. You can just simply hit this overwrite, but there are some really nice actions here. I like to say overwrite if source is newer, but sometimes these other options can get pretty helpful as well. So if I don't want to overwrite anything, I can just say skip. In this case, I just did one file, but if I were to select all these files and drag and drop them, then this target box is asking really what you, depending on if you choose one of these options right here, it will ask you file by file, or you can apply this action, whatever you're choosing here, to the current queue or only to uploads. So what that means is I just dragged csf.html over here, and I'm going to say overwrite. I'm going to uncheck this so that you can see the example here. So I'm going to uncheck always use this action, and I'm just saying yes, overwrite the remote file with the local one I'm trying to upload. Okay, and it did it. So it behaved just about as well as I can expect. That was fine. This time, what I'm going to do is upload many different files. So same thing, just dragging and dropping it to the remote. And the first thing it did is it took the file that's at the very top of this, and it recognized the conflict. It says, target already exists, what do you want me to do with it? So at this point, what I'm doing is just specifically talking about this one file out of the dozen that I selected here. So I'm choosing an action, and then I can choose what to do if I'm applying it specifically to this one file or the entire queue. So like I said, I almost always choose overwrite if source is newer because of the way that I'm used to my workflow. I work off my local machine and then push changes live to the internet, so this is always an option for me. May not be the option for you though, so just pay attention to which actions you're selecting. Sometimes a simple override is fine. And then this time I'm going to say always use this action in this current queue. Okay, so as soon as I press OK and this queue finishes, then it's going to overwrite every file conflict that it sees here, because that's what I'm telling it to do. I could also just uncheck this always use this action, and then what Filezilla will do is remember to always overwrite the files that you upload. May not be a good idea for you. I almost never just select this option right here. I like to apply the current queue because it's just an extra step that I take. It's more clicks, it might take some extra time, but this way I have some assurance and some total control that I know I'm not really overwriting something I don't mean to. It just makes me feel a little bit more comfortable that way. So I'll just press OK, and even though there are dozens of files here, it transferred all of them because that's what I told it to do. So these are the basics for Filezilla. Everything that I've covered inside this video here should be all that you really need to know, with the exception of the button up here that I told you I would go back to. What I'm going to do is click this guy, and it says disconnect currently from the visible server, so I'm going to disconnect the server, and now this one lights up. It's not gray anymore. I can interact with it. So rather than going File, Site Manager, choosing the site, and then hitting Connect, which logs onto your server, once you've already done that process, this little green button will log on to the previous site that you were logged on to last in one click. That's all you need to do. As long as your information is saved within this file manager, this little green guy will just enable a one-click log on to your website. And in this case, synchronized browsing is still open and turned on, so it went straight to the folder that I'm in on my local site. That about does it for Filezilla in this training. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get a hold of me. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.